So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Should you still buy the Apple iPhone 8 Plus? So I've had this phone ever since launch day. It's been about 9 months now, and I'm making this video because the other day I covered the smaller iPhone 8. You can go ahead and check out that video if you want to see if this one's still worth it. Link is down below. But I brought the iPhone 8 Plus to the podium today because the 8 Plus deserves some attention as well. It is the bigger, more popular version of the iPhone 8. It actually sits right in the middle, just behind the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus when it comes to popularity. If you want to know where I got that data from, I'll link that down below so you can check out the list of the most popular phones in the US. Right now, iPhones, at least, they basically dominate the market here. Now, in terms of key specifications, what really matters here on the iPhone 8 Plus is 4 areas. We have a 5.5-inch LCD 1080p display. It's basically the same one that's been on the iPhone 8 or 7 Plus, the iPhone 6S Plus, but it does have True Tone now, which is a nice addition in a P3 color gamut. It's a little bit warmer than the other displays, so maybe a little bit more yellower to some people. And then you also have on this device a dual 12 megapixel camera, a 2691 milliamp hour battery, an Apple A11 Bionic chip with 3 gigs of RAM. So that's really the key specs here. We also have IP67, which makes this water resistant. It's not waterproof. It's not IP68. It can't go as deep as like a Samsung phone in water, but it's definitely good enough here for the iPhone 8 when it comes to that front. So those key specifications on this phone really have come together to make quite the package here of the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, the thing with the iPhone 8 Plus is it's the heaviest iPhone I've ever used, over 200 grams. You're gonna feel the weight of the 8 Plus, but a lot of people associate the weight with the quality, and I definitely feel like this phone feels premium, even though it has thick bezels and it has, you know, the older design. It's not the bezel-less infinity displays of 2018. It still feels very top-notch here in 2018. Now, the glass on the rear, if you do drop it, this thing is going to crack, hands down, and then you're gonna pay Apple a big sum to fix the back of this phone. It does have the nice, you know, aluminum edges that do complement that glass very well. The older iPhone just had all, you know, aluminum on the back and the sides here. And then on the front, of course, you have more glass to complement that aluminum on the sides. So definitely an overall very sturdy, very strong feeling phone in the hand. And I always felt like with this one, I had to have a case on it, because if this thing slipped out of my hand, I would be getting those butterflies in my stomach like, oh no, it's over with. The iPhone 8 Plus is done for. But if it does hit a corner, I think you would only dent the aluminum. But if you do hit the back, it's over with. So the iPhone 8 Plus feels great, but definitely has a fragile factor when it comes to the area of build quality. Should you still buy it in terms of display? Now let's think forward here. When the iPhone LCD comes out later this year, it's still gonna have a similar quality display. I'm sure they're gonna improve maybe the brightness, the pixels, the subpixels, things like that in that LCD panel, but you're still gonna have that traditional non-popping color display that's gonna be coming in September with the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone, but you're gonna have a notch with that device more than likely as well. So you gotta decide, do you want this traditional 16:9 aspect ratio LCD display here with the iPhone 8 Plus? If you do, then this is still a good buy for you. But if you're looking for that more, you know, bezel-less display, kind of like the LG G7 or the iPhone 10, you're definitely gonna have a more narrow display when it comes to the upcoming replacement to this device. So decide there when it comes to display, because the display quality is probably not gonna change too much, at least on the cheaper iPhone. So if you get this one, you're gonna have a similar display quality, but at the same time, you're gonna have, you know, more of a traditional 16:9 aspect ratio for watching videos, and reading is just gonna be more like a standard screen. A lot of people say that the iPhone Plus series looks like a TV box. I've heard this before, and I don't think so. It is very square from the front, nicely rounded in the corners, but it's like really flat in the front, so I can see where some people are saying that it kind of looks like a little TV. Definitely, if you're gonna still buy this, consider if you want a 16:9 aspect ratio, or you're gonna want that more slimmer display. If you want the slimmer display, don't even buy this phone right now. You're not gonna be happy with this over the long term. So in terms of software, we're running iOS 11.4 here. It's gonna be upgraded to iOS 12, and I'm sure it's gonna run it fantastic. The iPhone 8 Plus in terms of performance, has been the best iPhone I've ever used. It has better performance than any iPhone I've used. Even the iPhone 10 has great performance, but because it has, the gesture UI, and some developers haven't, actually a lot of developers haven't got their apps properly optimized for the iPhone 10's display. So the apps just work better on the iPhone 8 Plus no matter what you're doing. So if you're looking for perfect performance on an iPhone and you want it right now, I think the iPhone 8 Plus is the better way. Now, the iPhone 10, of course, is going to get better over time. The gestures are going to improve, and then it's going to feel more fluid than this phone. But as of right now, the iPhone 8 Plus has been the smoothest phone, best performing I've had. It actually has never restarted even one time on me in my entire 9 months of using this phone. I've never had any app crashes on this phone as well. So incredible performance here. I would say basically perfect performance here on the iPhone 8 Plus. However, transitions are not quite as smooth as phones like a One Plus. They're still very fast and they look good to the eye. So performance A plus here, 10 out of 10 on the iPhone 8 Plus. But we went into a little bit of a tangent on the performance. In terms of the software, once again, you're going to be updated for several years to come. The A11 is so future-proofed that I'm sure you're going to have updates for the next 4 years easy on this device, on the iPhone 8 Plus. But you're not going to have the gestures, and a lot of the newer, the future of iPhone feeling features are not going to be present on this device, like, things that they can introduce with Face ID or things they can introduce with, the gesture UI. That's going to be like something just a little bit unique about those newer looking iPhones. So you got to keep that in mind. Do you care about that? Do you want that? That's where you have to, really decide on this iPhone 8 Plus. Discussing those rear cameras, they've been great, as I said, with the iPhone 8. I mean, this phone just takes phenomenal photos. No matter what you're taking a photo of, it has pretty much the same camera as the Apple iPhone 10. And I'm going to show you some samples here in a minute. But what I really don't like about any of the iPhones is the software, how you got to go into the settings to go ahead and get to some camera settings that are really crucial. For example, we got to scroll down and we got to find the camera settings every time we want to change the video settings, which is really a pain sometimes. Like, you got to go over here, hit camera, find record video, then you could change your video. But what's nice is that you do get 4K 60, 24, 30. Most phones are catching up to iPhone now with this, but this was one of the first phones to give you the 60 FPS. Now, in terms of the record slow-mo, you can go up to 240. Phones have surpassed this now. You can get 960 on Sony phones, Samsung phones. You got auto HDR here on the iPhone 8 Plus. And overall, the camera itself performs fantastic. It does really well with people photos and it does really well with nature photos. But where it really doesn't shine too much is the exposure. Sometimes it'll blow the sky out a little bit. And I think when it comes to the shadows, the Pixel 2 is a little bit of a better camera. But I mean, in terms of just pure camera quality, you're gonna like it. I think it can replace mostly a point and shoot. But enough talking here about the camera. Take a look at a few of these samples I've been taking with the iPhone 8 Plus throughout my use case of it. Enjoy. So what about the battery life with the iPhone 8 Plus? Again, like I said, with the performance, this is the best battery life iPhone you can buy right now. And if you do the tricks like I've mentioned in some of my other, how to get amazing battery life videos, 20 battery tricks for iOS 11, stuff like that, you can get even better battery life. This phone is the type of phone that will never leave you with no battery by the end of the day. Trust me on that one. This one is going the distance. And for a lot of people, this phone's going 2 days with ease. So the battery life, phenomenal for the iPhone 8 Plus. It hasn't been, draining fast at all ever for me. Now, the only time I find that this phone really will drain some battery is if you're gaming really hard on it. Then it's going to go down kind of fast. But other than that, great battery life. Throw it on an iPad charger. It charges rather quickly, and it does support the wireless charging standard, making this a luxurious feeling charging phone. So that's a pretty cool thing as well. So iPhone 8 Plus in the battery department, thumbs up here. Okay, so let's talk about the audio quality here on this device. Now, it does have the dual speakers, so we're going to play it for a second.
I don't mean I shopped for a car. I mean I went from
I looked it up and I seen that it has a very full sound. On that list, so I'll show you. I'll leave a link. Cover the bottom one, you could still hear. That list, but at the same time, cover the top one, you could still hear. So very loud, very full sounding, speakerphone here, and audio quality for the iPhone 8 Plus. No headphone jack, makes you have to use Bluetooth headphones. Overall, I've liked the audio quality external. I still really prefer having a headphone jack most of the time. But at the same time, I've learned to adapt to having Bluetooth headphones, and I think that you should too if you're going to be using an iPhone 8 Plus. Overall, audio quality is pretty stellar on the device. Lastly, let me talk about phone call quality. This sits in the top 3 phone call quality phones I have. It's actually number 2. That's behind the P20 Pro. Number 3 is my Note 8. This phone has incredible call quality, much better than prior iPhones before it. And, the speakerphone, when you're talking to people, sounds very loud on this phone. So if you're in a subway or whatever, you might want to turn your volume down because people are going to hear your conversation with the iPhone 8 Plus. Pretty good call quality here. I've been happy with it on this front. So signal strength also pretty strong. Not the best I've seen in the world, but definitely pretty strong call quality overall. And I think this is an area a lot of people overlook. But if you're buying an iPhone 8 Plus, you're going to have a good phone for a phone, experience over the next few years. So that's it. The iPhone 8 Plus, available in 4 colors. You got red, you got silver, you got that space gray, it looks like black color. You also have that new gold color, which I think is kind of like the replacement to the rose gold. But is this phone worth it right now? This is a tricky question. I mean, we have a replacement coming later this year. You've seen throughout my video right now, my experience with the phone has been phenomenal in most regards. Now, I should talk a little bit before we end this video about some of the negatives I don't like about this phone. Number 1, it's a lot to handle in the hand. It's a very big device and it gets cumbersome sometimes. So if you don't like big phones, this one is one of the most massive feeling phones you can buy. Number 2, the bezels. They're just really an eyesore kind of here in 2018. But if you're buying this phone, you probably don't care too much about the bezels. One thing I do like though is that it feels like a little mini iPad using the iPhone 8 Plus. It does rotate side to side when you turn off auto rotation lock like that. Feels like a little iPad mini you have right here. And this is probably responsible. These type of phones are responsible for the death of the iPad mini, which is probably never going to exist again. And lastly, one thing I don't like is so many manufacturers will copy the look of the iPhone 8 Plus on the rear, the dual camera setup. This started with the 7 Plus. I mean, Xiaomi products are out there, look just like this. OnePlus products look just, and there's so many people just copying the look of this device that it no longer looks like a unique phone. And that kind of makes it not that appealing, overall over the iPhone 10 when it comes to design, because an iPhone 10's notch, while it can be copied, nobody can actually, nobody actually makes the exact design of the iPhone 10. So one when you see one. This one, you don't really always know if that's an iPhone because a lot of phones have copied the look of the iPhone 8 Plus. So is it still a good buy? Yes. Is it a great buy? I don't think so because of the upcoming replacement to it. Should you still buy it? Well, throughout this video, you should have made that decision by now. And if you found this video helpful, enjoyable, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching and peace.